I think that we just witnessed the most shameful thing that I have ever seen on national TV, on mainstream news media, ever in the history of the entire world on God's green earth. CBS News Network to invite Erika Kirk onto the show to ask her questions about her late husband's comments that some people see as quote unquote divisive or racist or hateful or whatever other stupid narrative that they come up with. To invite her onto the show to accuse her husband of being filled with division and hatred 90 days after he was assassinated on live TV is the most disgusting, evil thing that I have ever seen in the history of cable news television network. That is the most disgusting, shameful thing I have ever seen. To invite any widow onto your TV network after their husband just died so that you can ask them questions that are insulting to their husband shows a complete lack of remorse and character. It is the most disgusting thing I've ever witnessed in my life. Never mind, to do that to any widow after somebody just died is blatantly disgusting. But never mind a widow whose husband didn't just die, but they were murdered. And not just murdered, but they were politically assassinated on live TV in front of the entire world for all to see. And it's been 3 months. And the very first thing that they do is to go and try to paint that person. If it happened to anybody, it would be the most shameful thing I've ever seen. But to do that to one of the greatest people that's ever lived in the history of the United States of America on live TV, and to continue in the grave to attack that person's name and their character is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen in my entire life. But to do that and to call his widow onto the news network so that you could try to ambush her somehow and ask her the most disgusting, disrespectful questions I've ever heard. And you could see the look on her face where she was like, she's almost at a loss, almost at an awe that these fools would have the audacity to go down this lane. That's really the lane that you're going to go down right now. You're going to take a widow whose husband was just murdered on live TV 90 days ago, and you're going to blatantly insult and accuse her husband of the most vile things that you could ever say about a human being on live TV and ask her to affirm for the fact of what she has to say about it, what she can understand about the fact that he was this divisive person. What in hell is wrong with you guys? Like, literally. And that right there, not only is that the most shameful thing that I've ever witnessed. I have never in my life witnessed. I mean, this is crazy, bro. Like, this is way bigger. This is way bigger than just politics, bro. That is evil. That is wicked. That is borderline sociopathic, psychopathic behavior. That shows a lack of empathy, a lack of sympathy. It shows a lack of remorse, and it shows to be totally depersonified from the situation that just happened in front of your face. You saw the man get slaughtered on live TV. A bullet in his neck and blood pouring out, instantaneously dead. And your first thought is, how can I paint this person out to be a Nazi? That's the first thing that goes through your head. A mainstream news media network, their condemnation is 100% just, 100% justified. CBS deserves to be completely destroyed and disbanded and removed from the entire history of news networks as a whole forever. I mean, like a Elon Musk buying Twitter, erase the blue bird. Add insult to injury, we don't just own the company, but we erased the blue bird. We destroyed its cultural relevance. It doesn't exist anymore. It was swept away by a nuclear apocalypse. It was incinerated. CBS deserves no fate less than that. They deserve absolutely no fate less than that. That's it. Either. And it doesn't have to be bought out, or they just go bankrupt and, whatever. But they deserve no fate less than that. That is the most evil thing I've ever seen in my life. To have the audacity to invite her onto the show and to look her in the eyes and ask her those damned questions. Because that's exactly where they come from, huh? They come from hell. They're damned questions. That is the most disgusting. That is borderline sociopathic, psychopathic behavior. That is completely mentally disturbed. You have to be a mentally disturbed individual to do that. You understand that, right? I am sorry that Erika has to deal with this nonsense. I am absolutely taken back, beside myself, that Erika has to deal with such disgusting disrespect for a human being and a human life and a family. It is pure evil what is happening right now. This is bigger than politics, and and we know that, and we've said that for a while because it has been. But this is bigger than that. And we've called these people evil before, and they are, and they've always been evil. But this is another level of evil. These people are wicked to their very core. They are the Nazis. They are Nazis. They are Nazis. That's not an accusation. That's not a political smear. That's not mudslinging, as it is when you say that about Charlie Kirk. That's the truth. Because to your very soul, your very heart, your very core, you are wicked to the depths of you. And no matter what, righteousness will flow like a mighty river, and justice will flow like a stream. And there is nothing on God's green earth that you can do about it. You will be dealt with just like everybody else. When all of this really gets to its head, yeah? And there's a real winner declared here. And by the way, that's going to be us. The MAGA patriots, the people of the United States, the people that haven't lost their soul. When we win, you will be dealt with as harshly as you have tried to deal with others. Okay? You will be dealt with. And whatever you sow, you reap. That is the most disgusting and shameful thing I have ever seen. I have absolutely zero respect, zero tolerance for such disgusting behavior. I cannot even put into fathomable words what I saw with that goofy looking lady with those stupid glasses on her face asking the most asinine questions I've ever heard in my life. Enough is enough. I've had enough of these demonic, satanic, sociopathic, psychopathic, mentally disturbed individuals. I've had enough of them. This has gone on for far too long anyways. I've had enough of them. These people will be removed. We will not tolerate such disgust in the legacy and the history, not just of Charlie. God bless him. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. But he's in heaven with the Lord Jesus Christ. And not just the legacy of Turning Point and Erika and their children and all the people that were affected by Charlie and Turning Point, including myself, was extremely affected by and influenced by Charlie Kirk. But the legacy of the United States of America as a whole, you will not be remembered on the other side of that, out of anything less than the most disgusting, shameful human beings that have ever walked on God's green earth inside of the United States of America. This has to end, and it has to end now.